Good morning, how's it going? I hope you are having an awesome day. Thank you and shout out to all of those of you coming back to watch this on the replay. Let me know where and when you're watching from, and hello to everyone who's tuning in live. Today I'm talking about the Zeigarnik effect, or Zeigarnik, depending on how you choose to pronounce it. Let's dive straight into it, shall we? It's another cognitive bias. If you haven't seen one of these videos before, it's all about exploring the way that we think and some of the shortcuts that we take in our thinking, which sometimes help us out and other times really kick us in the butt. So if you want to know more about that, check out the other videos in this series, either on my website, mydefinity.co.uk, or on YouTube. But today it's Zeigarnik effect, and this is the effect where people are more likely to remember and be better at recalling something that is incomplete or unfinished. So, you know, if you start something and then you get disrupted halfway through and you haven't finished it, it plays on your mind until you can get back to it and finish it, for example. So this was first explored with waiters, noticing the person who first spotted it, or one of the people that first spotted it and examined it, noticed that the waiters would be much better at remembering and recalling a ticket that had not yet been paid for, so something that was incomplete. So if you asked them, what did that table there have? They would be much better at being able to remember the order that they took, but by the time that bill was complete and paid, it leaves their mind, they forget it, and it's less easy for them to recall. Hello to you guys that are all tuning in live. Do say hello to me. So, yeah, Zeigarnik effect, the ability to remember things, or the predilection to more easily remember and recall information that's incomplete or unfinished. So this can be a good thing and a bad thing, depending on the situation and how you use it, really. It can definitely be a bad thing in some ways, because when we've got too many thoughts and too much going on, it can really kind of overload us if we let it. It adds to our levels of stress, and particularly if someone's already feeling anxious about things, and you don't have to, by the way, you can change that, get in touch. But if someone's already feeling anxious about things, then having more stuff to think about and other things that have been incomplete, started but not finished, really adds to that. So one of the simplest ways, not necessarily easiest, but simplest ways to help ease that impact is to see things through. If you've got something that you start doing, finish doing that before you pick up another task. It will hugely reduce your stress levels. It'll stop you from overwhelming yourself, and it will make it a lot easier to complete your tasks. And then once they're done, it's out of your mind, and you don't need to worry about it anymore. But you can also use it as a good thing. It can be really advantageous. For example, if you're writing something, this is something I do sometimes. If I'm in the middle of writing something and I'm aware that I just need to take a break from the computer, or I need a wee or something like this, one of the things that I'll do is I'll stop in the middle of a sentence on purpose. Because then when I come back to it, subconsciously I've been thinking about completing that sentence. I've been thinking about the rest of the blog that I'm writing, or whatever it might be, so that when I come back to sit down to it, I can reread the first part of that sentence and naturally follow on with the rest of it. And it's much easier for me to get back into it. Now, that being said, I also make sure that when I take a proper lunch break, for example, in the middle of the day, wherever possible, I try not to have anything outstanding so that I can take a proper break and not be thinking about anything else. So it's about choosing how to use it to your advantage. Sarah Higgs, I'm not great at this. No, you're not. But you are really, really good at holding on to a lot of information at one time. So I'm really good at putting things down and just not worrying about things, not letting things play on my mind. Not everyone is. I certainly didn't used to be. But what you're really good at that balances this out, the other side of this trait, is that you're able to hold on to so much information. For me, everything goes straight into my diary, into my calendar, because that I outsource remembering it to my calendar. But for someone like yourself, and I know you're not the only one, Zoe's also a great example of this, you just have all of these dates and things that are coming up all in here all the time, and that's great. For me personally, I prefer not to, because I like to have that space there for myself and for my thoughts. But that's just a personal preference. There's pros and cons to different things of this. You have visions of me ending this video halfway through. Well, funny you should say that, Kat. Actually, what I wanted to say next... No, I'm just kidding. So yes, it can be good, but it can also be bad. You can use it for things like wee breaks. You can also use it to gain intrigue. So something that I did when I posted about this video initially was I deliberately left a sentence unfinished. So tune in and I'll be explaining how, and it makes people want to know what's happening next. In fact, I even got told off for doing that, and I had my partner Zoe, the moment I walked in the door, asking me, what was the rest of that sentence? And so it got people wanting to tune in to find out, right? Because we don't like things unfinished. It's like when someone asks a question, we want to answer it, because otherwise there's something hanging there and it's unfinished. Musically as well, we do this. So composers would build tension in a piece by not quite reaching that crescendo, by not finishing that particular phrase of music. It feels like it hasn't resolved. They don't resolve the chord. And that makes you kind of anticipate more, and then you get a real sense of relief even when it is resolved. In fact, they used this in advertising. They studied and looked into the impact of this. And one of the things they looked at was using theme tunes within advertising, and how you can get people to recognize just part of. So if you had like a particular refrain, Coca-Cola's a good one. What is it? Not The Holidays Are Coming On. Always Coca-Cola. So you would have da 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 da, and quite often they would have that phrase, that part of the music repeating a few times, and it's only at the end of the advert da 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 you'd get the actual completion of it, and so that leaves people better able to remember the advert. And pay attention to the advert through the middle before they get to that refrain, and at the resolution at the end. And it also means that it kind of sticks in people's head a bit more. But yeah. So the other way that we can do it is, if you've got something, the other way we can use it to our advantage, if you've got something you're trying to learn or practice or recite, taking breaks. I mean, I say this so often. Taking breaks is a really good thing to do. Take more breaks. So if you've got, let's say you're working on a presentation for a networking meeting or for the office or a sales presentation, who knows? And of course you want to be well rehearsed and slick, and you want to have it nailed. And the tendency we have is to practice it all the way through, practice it all the way through, practice it all the way through, go and do something else. But actually what can be really useful is to practice the first half and go away. Come back and practice the second half. And doing little things like that can really help things to stick in your mind, and particularly with presentations, not directly relevant to this, but something worth considering is actually practicing and getting better at the end of the presentation. How you're going to finish and making sure you finish on a strong note is a really important part of it. So practice everything right up till that point, and then practice that point separately, just to really enhance and help embed that. So that's it. That's the Zeigarnik effect, which is at least how I'm going to pronounce it. But feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that. If you've got any questions or you want to know anything more about cognitive biases, please do let me know. And if you're enjoying this series, then I'd really love it if you were to head to my YouTube channel and just search for Mind Affinity on YouTube and hit subscribe. It'd be great to get those subscriber numbers up. Once I hit 100, which I'm nearly at, then that opens up some other tools and useful things for me. I've got some great content planned that's going to be exclusively on the YouTube channel, so it's not going to be available on Facebook or wherever else you may be watching this. So may well be worth checking that out. And also, while I'm talking about it, on Monday, so Monday coming up at 4 o'clock, it is the second ever episode of my Mind Matters show. Here we go. There's the branding for it. This is what it looks like. So Mind Matters is me and the one and only, the wonderful Paul Newton from Mental Theft. Basically, it's just two blokes getting together to chat about the mind and why it matters. So we're talking all about ego on Monday. So if you've got any questions or thoughts around ego, let me know, and definitely come and join us on Monday at 4 o'clock, where you can have your say and get involved in our live conversation about it. Thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome day ahead. And yeah, basically, just remember, whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. It might just take a bit of work to get there. So go out there and be awesome. Cheers.